The jungles of Lustria have never been a safe place. For eons uncounted, they've played host to some of the largest creatures ever to walk this earth. Creatures whose names have long since passed into memory, or never had any names at all. But evolution is a funny thing. Though the Plague God abhors the rapid, violent mutation of the Changer, his favored creations have marched down a similar path. It just took a while to get there. Behold, the apex of Nurglite evolution, the Toad Dragon, and the mighty Maggot Lord, Mr. Tamurkhan himself. Alongside his fecund, festering host, this unholy abomination will march on the cities of Lustria and burn them to cinder. But first, he has to get through Kroq Gar. Some really amazing units on display in this one. Animation work is top-notch and a bunch of cinematic moments. So let's get it poppin' like a pus-filled Nurgle pimple and see what Rot Knights, Plague Ogres, and Bubelos can do against the last defender of Zodal. And here, on the Kulchen Plains, Lizardmen and Nurgle will clash with some freakish monsters in the vanguard. Tamurkhan, astride his unique Toad Dragon, can spew forth unspeakable foulness to rip through infantry and cav as a breath weapon while suffocating them with powerful debuffs. Nurgle's favored son grants a ward save and melee defense, while Feast of the Maggot Lord is a powerful unique ability that allows the worm inside to wriggle free and snack on any lord or hero in a 100-meter radius, effectively one-shotting them, which sounds super OP, and the damage is insane, but remember, it will only trigger once the con has been brought down to 0 health, which means you can definitely play around it. If you see he's dropping low, you'll run away with your lord or hero, and he is unbreakable, which means he's often in a losing or even unwinnable scenario as the last man standing in his army. It'll be very interesting to see how his feast shakes out as we get more time with and against him, but if your lord is anywhere near the maggot when he falls, they are likely in very big trouble. There might just be enough burst healing for Tamurkhan to survive the encounter and come eat the rest of your army. It's not always going to make a huge impact, but if it comes down to a final duel between you and him, it's probably GG. Remember to pack your Bale Flame Amulet. Of course, we have a new Hero Sorcerer as well, which will benefit the Warriors of Chaos probably more than it will Nurgle, but super cool model, a comically large sword, and wriggling with worms all over as it carries Fleshy Abundance and Stream of Corruption onto the battlefield. On previous patches, he also had a glowing trifecta of eyes, which looked amazing. Appears to have lost that for now. Hopefully that won't be changed permanently because it made him look freaky and I liked it a lot. For the rest of the Nurgle army, there are 2 units of Plague Ogres, which have some fantastic animations. AP, bonus for large behemoths with immune to psych. They will vomit over everything, spew bile all over their weapons, hawk loogies, and throw the residue at opponents. Really cool stuff and a big threat to dinos. Pestigors, another great weapon unit. Their Tears of Nurgle are a chain hex that triggers once enemies start breaking, spreading from unit to unit, draining vigor and speed as they run you down. And headed on the flank in the woods all the way on the left side are the mighty Rotting Riders, elite Rot Knight Regiment of Renown with a beefy stat line, built-in ward save, and regeneration. Armor piercing, bonus versus large, and blessed to the butts with the gifts of the Father. They are on powerful mounts, and they can cycle charge you into oblivion. They're going to be one of those premier elite cavalry units, but they also cost close to 2,000 gold, or actually, I think a little bit more than that. So, yeah, they are a problem, but they can be killed when you bring Carnosaurs and Horde ones and other armor-piercing troops on the field. So it's going to be interesting to see how they match up against the heavily armored dinos on the other side. Of course, if you're attacking Lustria, the last defender of Zodal will ride to ruin on top his Carnosaur. Grimlock, he's got Swiftness of Itzel, Deadly Onslaught, Sacred Spawning of Zodal, and that Hand of the Gods for sniping out important single entities. And he's backed up by a Saurus Scarvet with the Plaque of Dominion, -8 Leadership, Potion of Strength, and Foe Seeker. So together, they're going to work in tandem to take down the big targets, and that means Tamurkhan has his work cut out for him here, because dual Carnosaur can take on most monsters in the game. He's going to be under a lot of pressure in the early stages of this battle. Star Chamber Guardians, Temple Guard, that unbreakable, immovable bastion in the center, specializing in killing demons and protecting the Slann and Old Bloods of the Lizardmen, with a dash of assaulting Ankylosaurus, the Revivification Crystal, made to revivify the dinos and perhaps outlast the Nurgle monsters in a fight that will surely involve a ton of healing and disengaging. Kroq Gar, wasting 0 time, already into the thick of the action, ripping and tearing amidst the Nurglings and Pestigors before activating Swiftness of Itzel to escape the Plague Ogres following up behind. And that Dinosaur Squad can take on those units if they use the Skink Meat Shields intelligently, but if they find themselves fully surrounded, Plague Ogres will not take long to chunk them down. Of course, the poison makes it even more challenging to escape. So Tamurkhan, the Maggot Lord, on the Toad Dragon Bubelos, moving into a flanking position and letting it rip with an unspeakable foulness, the first of his breath attacks. Unfortunately, this one will kind of clip the edge of the Temple Guard unit and not deal that much damage. But I have to gush about the animation work here, because as its entire body convulses and all that bile comes spewing out, you can even see its nostrils flaring and the muscles contracting as a bunch of corrosive acid just starts mulching stuff. Be wary of that breath attack. It can miss, but if he lines it up right and it goes for the full duration, it can devastate hordes of infantry. Scarvet and Kroq Gar are into the thick of it now. Nurglings and Pestigors and even Plague Ogres trying to surround them, but the Dinosaur Squad, with the Temple Guard backing them up, really doing a number on the monstrous infantry for the Nurgle side. And here comes Tamurkhan on his Toad Dragon, charging through and really messing stuff up. Just like the Khemrian War Sphinx and other Apex monsters, if you get a flank charge, the Toad Dragon becomes more like a chariot. And that gnashing animation can clear out like an entire unit of skinks in a single impact. But now, he's faced with a 1v2 duel. Prepare for trouble and make it double. It's Kroq Gar and the Scarvet working in tandem to take down the beast, and that is not a fight the Maggot Lord can win. Fleshy Abundance activated on the Plague Ogres, who were really chunked down by the dual Carnosaur. Nurgle's favorite son activated its more melee defense and the ward save, which should keep him more survivable, and Plaque of Dominion from the Scarvet, -8 leadership, will not affect Tamurkhan, who is of course unbreakable, but might be able to help break through the Pestigors and rest of the Nurglings who are pouring in to fight the Temple Guard. Here come the Rotting Riders, bodies looking like they're about to collapse into Chaos Spawn. I mean, they're basically elite Forsaken, but actually armored and mounted on top of Rot Beasts. And here, into the flank of the Skinks they go, into the rear of the Lizardmen army. They will take some jabs to the face, but they have 80 armor and regen, so they don't care too much about that. What they do care about is having double Carnosaur munching on their booties, and almost immediately off impact, they are down to half HP. The doggo's gonna learn today that Apex Predators are just another level entirely. Rotting Riders will be forced to escape. Regen should keep them pretty healthy. They only lost 4 models in that engagement, but Kroq Gar is continuing to pile on that pressure, giving chase. Over here, Tamurkhan the Maggot Lord clearing up some stragglers, some very ugly flickering going on. Those texture decals, if they're on certain elevation changes, can kind of bug out and look real disgusting. But you know what also looks disgusting? The Plague Ogres, man. This is what I'm talking about. Watch their animations. Of course, there's going to be tons of vomit when they swing their axes. Pus goes flying everywhere. They'll also literally like hawk up loogies and throw them at opponents, which I think is an absolutely hilarious animation. But yeah, double Carnosaur continuing to ensure that these Rotting Riders do not have free reign in the Lizardmen back line. Pestigors are nearby. They applied that chain hex, those Tears of Nurgle, to every skink cohort on that side of the battlefield. Caused a lot of problems in routing over on that side. And the second unspeakable foulness, this one was a lot better. Cohort of Stotek did not have their Refuse to Die off cooldown, could not activate that in time, and it also chunked the Temple Guard in the center. So really good cast, 2 of the most important elite infantry units on the Lizardmen side of the field. And now, Maggot Lord going back into melee, and Bubelos will continue his feasting. There we go, left side of your screen, throwing phlegm into the cohort of Stotek, absolutely disgusting, and lining up for more charges. So, the Rotting Riders are actually doing a pretty good job of just distracting the Scarvet and Kroq Gar from the main infantry engagement, where Nurgle may be starting to get a leg up against the Temple Guard, especially if one more unspeakable foulness can be pushed forth. That's why Kroq Gar and the Scarvet are trying to rout the Pestigors and come back into the center, because if you leave this Toad Dragon free, just continue its rampage in and amongst infantry, even Temple Guard are not going to last very long. Deadly Onslaught and a bunch of the debuffs, including that Plaque of Dominion, -8 leadership, causing mass routing over on that side. Pestigors are breaking and Rotting Riders have disengaged. But in the center here, Tamurkhan is continuing to assert his dominance, and the Bastiladon Rev Crystal, that healing, has kept the Temple Guard in the fight for now. Stream of Corruption doing its best to counteract all that healing. Spears are piling in there too. Tamurkhan's fairly low, down to 1/3 HP, but of course, Fleshy Abundance and other Nurgle heals could be sent his way. Hand of the Gods from Kroq Gar, dropping him even lower. Ideally, would want to cast that into like a Chaos Sorcerer, something a bit with less armor, but not the easiest thing in the world, especially when it's on foot. Really low profile, makes him hard to hit. Toad Dragon, not so much. That's a super big hitbox, and Hand of the Gods did take a chunk out of him for sure. Best unspeakable foulness of the day. Stream of Corruption just slamming right through the flank of those Temple Guard. And yeah, we're going to see this one again because that was absolutely gorgeous. Well positioned. Kroq Gar and the Scarvet need to start putting more pressure on him. But again, you don't want to kill him yet. You want to leave him for last so that Feast of the Maggot Lord doesn't one-shot your Lord and completely change the outcome of the battle. So they might be correct to go after the Rotting Riders and the Plague Ogres for now and just leave the Maggot Lord in a relatively low HP state. He is causing all kinds of carnage. He is causing all kinds of problems, but you do not want to kill him because if Kroq Gar or the Scarvet get one shot and Tamurkhan survives that encounter, it could completely change how this all shakes out. And Kroq Gar has to be careful here. Pestigors surrounding him, Rotting Riders nearby, and Tamurkhan coming over to stomp. Bubelos, very hungry. Nurgle's favorite son has activated Ward Save and Melee Defense, now giving chase. Kroq Gar, with his Swiftness of Itzel, should be able to squeegee his way out of that engagement. That's certainly one of the advantages the Carnosaurs have over the Toad Dragon. A lot more mobile. Not as much mass, not as much damage on the charge, but they are specialized for monster hunting, and they are quicker. And we've got the 2-on-1 again. This is exactly what Lizardmen wants. The Great Khan just had a Fleshy Abundance tossed his way, so instead of being at a third health, he's closer to half HP at this point. But there is a Scarvet that is quite literally eating his butthole right now. He's not enjoying that too much. He's not a Slaneshi character or monster. That -8 leadership penalty was actually activated too early. There's no other Nurgle unit nearby, and of course, Tamurkhan is unbreakable, so no real point in activating that, which could be a problem, because Pestigors and these Rotting Riders are affected by that -8 LD penalty, so would have been much better used against them. And Rotting Riders, even when they're pretty low, are still a massive threat with their mass and their speed and their regen to keep them in that fight. Ankylosaur just running over a bunch of the Nurglings, and it looks like the Lizardmen have won the infantry engagement, now pushing forward to the tree line. Kroq Gar doing a fantastic job of harrying these troops on the flank, making sure the Rotting Riders and these Pestigors cannot return to the fold. If they reach that critical mass around the Maggot Lord, it could spell doom for the Lizardmen. They're not allowing it. They're causing all kinds of terror, breaking down the Nurgle host into chunks. And the Rotting Riders are routing for the second or third time this battle. They are on their last legs. Here come the Plague Ogres. Only a handful of models. Maybe not going to be able to stand and fight against Kroq Gar and Grimlock, who are really on a mission right now. Look how much pressure they are applying to those elite Rot Knights, but now forced to take the duel. Don't want Tamurkhan to eat you from behind. What that tongue do, Bubelos? What that tongue do, though? And watch out now, Feast the Maggot Lord is about to proc. Kroq Gar, you in trouble, dog. Oh god, look at that HP. Oh Lord, have mercy. He had 1700 health and Rough Crystal Heals were going to be sent his way, but it's nowhere near enough. Grimlock and Kroq Gar are dead. Tamurkhan back up to 1000 HP, but now he has to contend with the might of a almost full health Scarvet on his Carnosaur, and the rest of his army has already routed. Army losses activated while Tamurkhan hit him with that Feast of the Maggot Lord, and that's what I'm talking about when I say, yeah, it might one-shot your Lord. It is extremely strong. There are going to be battles that are decided by that ability. By the way, I hate the fact that you can't see the actual death animation at the end of these battles, especially with someone like Tamurkhan. I want to see the model die and then the battle can end. It'd be cool if we had like a 10 or 15 second grace period at the end, so it didn't just immediately cut to the post-battle stat screen. But yeah, in a lot of scenarios, army losses is going to kick in for the Nurgle host, while the Khan is the last man standing, and at that point, he's unlikely to carry the game back for you. In a straight-up duel at the end of a game, excuse me, that can change the outcome for sure, and that ability is going to be incredibly strong, but in this situation, really made no impact whatsoever. What did make an impact, though, were the 3 monsters. 2 on Lizardmen's side, 1 on the Nurgle side. Tamurkhan, 3,400 value, 3,200 for the Scarvet, and for Kroq Gar. Really interesting to see those 2 work in tandem against such a formidable opponent. And the Khan made good account of himself here, killed a lot of infantry, dealt some good damage to the monsters in the duels, too. but was unable to carry the day for the Nurgle Horde, and really enjoyed that battle. A lot of interplay, a lot of healing, a lot of disengaging. We saw some good stuff from the Plague Ogres and Pestigors too. Rotting Riders didn't do bad, 2,000 value on them, but man, that double Carnosaur, which to be fair is not as good as it was in Game 2, because Carnosaurs haven't gotten their weapon strength increased since the change to Ultra, they still performed really well. Really fun battle, hope you all enjoyed, and a lot more coming soon.